and we're going to get started. For those of you that don't know Elise, Elise is a poet whose work explores the complexities of womanhood and the intersections of joy and sorrow. She holds a BA in English literature with a minor in writing studies. Her poems have appeared in literary magazines, including Gather, Only Poems, and her work has been recognized as a finalist for the Central Avenue Poetry Prize and second place in the Black Horse Review Poetry Contest. Her debut collection, The Size of Your Joy, is forthcoming with Central Avenue Publishing in spring 2026. She lives in Seattle with her husband and daughter, where she writes, collects sea glass, and savors life's tender joy. Thank you so much for joining us, Elise.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're really excited to have you. I have a number of general questions about submitting, but I also want to know a little bit about your personal writing journey because
Yeah.
every writer has such a different path. And when did you start considering yourself a writer? Is this something that you've always done? Was there an event?
Yeah, there definitely was like an inciting event. There was actually a an assignment in the fourth grade, and it was a poetry writing assignment, and um, it was I can't remember what exactly the prompt was, but I remember I loved it. I was like, "Oh, this is like a puzzle." I don't have the best memory, but like I really remember this assignment. And so I remember I had a great time putting it together, and I turned in my assignment. And then I don't know, a week or something later, however long it takes for teachers to grade things, um, my teacher took me aside and was like, "Hey, you should keep writing. You're really, really good." And it just like that felt so good. She not only like set took me aside, but she emailed my parents the poems. And I still have them. It makes me like tear up even thinking about it because it's just like, oh, a good teacher, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I was like, okay, I want to be a writer when I grow up. And then fast forward like 20 plus years, I finally decided to like take action on it, like really dive into my creative writing practice. But it definitely was a journey getting there. But I've always considered myself a writer. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you said there was an inciting incident, as if in the life story, there's sort of this arc that we can look
Totally.
at in a writerly way.
Yeah, that's how I think of it. It's like, oh, and that set it off.
I'm so glad you had that early encouragement.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great.
w- can you tell us a little bit about what you think the process is for finding your unique voice?
Yeah, that's that's such a like abstract thing to think about sometimes. But I actually read recently Mary Oliver's writing guide, and the way that she um the way that she talks about it just like kind of opens something up in my mind. So firstly, I think, and this is something that I was doing and didn't even realize that I was doing, but I think trying on different voices and styles was is something that was really important to me, and kind of like finding what you like in your favorite writers and authors, and kind of like testing them out, like, for example, if you're starting to play an instrument, you don't just, like, go in and start in on, like, a beautiful song. You have to, like, learn songs that other people composed or whatever. And so I think that really it's like you try on a different hat all the time, and you try and, like, you read and read and read and just kind of, like, learn what you love. And then that, like, conglomeration at the end of it all is, like, kind of like what sticks is the voice. Yeah, that's kind of how I think of it. Um, and just yeah, like I said, just like writing and writing and writing, and not taking it too seriously,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Yeah,
Just
I
letting
love that
yourself, like, come to the page authentically.
for sure. You can't write something good without risking writing something bad, right?
Yeah, yeah, write
Um,
something bad. Write a lot of things bad and
so
just
I
not
wrote
don't take it too seriously. It's
yeah,
really helps me to think about it in that way.
I love that perspective of, like, every writer we've ever read, we carry with us a little bit, and that we cobble something together
Mm.
that then becomes unique, even if it's informed by all these other people that came before us. Was that Mary Oliver's Poetry Handbook or
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
and
exactly. Yes, thank you.
I love that manual. It's sort of a how-to, but it's like a philosophy book at the
Oh,
same time.
it's totally a philosophy book. Yeah, it was great. I highly recommend it.
What do you there are a lot of poets who love to write poetry, but then they read other people's work and they don't understand it.
Mhm.
So what do you think makes other poets what makes people be able to step into a poet's work and be able to understand it?
I think for me, um, first and foremost, like reading to experience the emotion is the most important thing. I think like as a poet, it's really easy as a writer, it's really easy to look at something and try and see like, okay, what are they doing here? Like what's the form, what's the language, like what are all the things that are like that they're doing right? Like what's working? But it's like I can look at a perfect piece of writing and not experience any emotion. So I think the most important thing for me is like trying to um yeah, like I don't read to like analyze form. I read to like experience things, like to feel things. So I think approaching it from that um is how I try and do it. Did that answer the question? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I think it does. I think it's more. I think maybe what the person that submitted the question had in mind was like sometimes they'll read a poem and they're like, I don't know what that was about. Um,
Mhm.
and so, maybe part of that is everyone has such a different style that not everybody understands experimental work if they write like very narrative work and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. There's different like I in my brain I kind of think of it as like different like categories of poetry. There's like very accessible, like just kind of like lay it all out. And then there's the more like abstract kind of have to like infer into a little bit more. And so I don't know. I think like when you're reading something that you're like, I don't really know what this is saying to me, like maybe that's kind of the point a little bit, like kind of um thinking about it from a different perspective of like I'm trying to like literally understand it, but it's like okay, like what are the sounds that you're hearing like make you feel? Like what's the like vibe?
Yeah,
Kind of going about it that way instead of trying to like look at the literal meaning because like that might not be, you know, the exact goal of the poet or the speaker.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think reading a lot of poetry really helps too.
Mhm.
The more you read,
Definitely.
it all feeds.
Yeah. And there's also kind of like gateway poets that are kind of like a little like Ada Limon, for example. I find that a lot of her work is like really easy to understand, narrative. And then she sometimes jumps into this space where I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what this poem means like on first read, but then you kind of like read more of her work and then it's like you kind of get it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, but
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
I wonder, you have a child and you're a writer. Can you talk to us a little bit about how to strike a work-life balance or a writer-life balance?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Mm.
um I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm on all day long. And so I think for me, it really is not about like balance at this point. It's kind of just about like making it work in the ways that you can fit it into your life, without, crazy, um, uh, strife or whatever. I think, like, for me, I have always, idealized, like, this beautiful writing routine where I light a candle and sit down, have my, like, cup of tea and, like, the windows open and, this, like, perfect dream writing scenario, and in reality, I quickly type into my notes app on my phone every single poem in my book, and probably every single poem that I've written, to be honest, um, is just like notes app, just like typing while she's napping, or while she's like playing with my sister or something. I'm just like, you just like fit it in where you can, and at least in early motherhood, I'm sure that there's plenty of balance to be found, when, she's, like, in school and stuff like that, but for now, it's really just like, do I want to write? Yes. How? I don't know, but I'm gonna figure it out,
Yeah.
you know?
That's been my experience too. I find that the poems always come to me when my hands are busy, like if I'm bouncing her
Totally.
to sleep, right? On a
Yes,
yoga ball, that's when the poem.
yes. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've thought of, like, just the perfect line for, like, a poem that I'm working on, but I'm in the middle of, putting her to sleep or something, and I just repeat it in my head over and over again. I'm like, "Don't forget, don't forget." And then I do forget a lot of the time. So I'll have to, type the fragments on the page and hope that it comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
really just doing it messy.
and I love that, doing it messy. And so you have a book coming out, and I take it, a lot of those poems that you just said you wrote while doing childcare,
Totally.
and now you have this book that you've put together. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So my book is called The Size of Your Joy. It's a book it explores girlhood, womanhood, motherhood, relationships, particularly matrilineal relationships, and identity. I think it's a book that's really about finding the beauty in the ordinary moments, and kind of uh, learning to let joy and hope take up more and more space in your life, if
Mm,
that makes sense.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. It's so hard to, like, talk about your own project, and, like, I'm right at the tail end of line editing for my manuscript with my editor, and so I'm, like, deeply in it, and so half the time I'm like, "What is did I even write a book? Like, what is this even about?" It's just
No,
like, blah.
it is. It's a real experience, and
Yeah, so weird. I'm sure that I'll have a perfect answer in April.
well, I can't wait for that. And
Thank you.
can you tell us a little bit about what was your submission strategy? How did you find a publisher? Did you enter contests? Did you
Yeah.
win your first one?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting story, actually, and, um, I, had no immediate plans of writing a book when my publisher, reached out to me. So I, submitted to their poetry prize. My publisher is Central Avenue, and they hold a poetry prize every single year. I highly suggest submitting to it if you don't know about them yet. So they opened this up. A friend of mine was submitting a couple poems to them, and I was like, "Oh, this could be really cool." And it was my first ever submission ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
But there's something else to it. So it was my first ever submission, but I really wanted it. I wanted to be published in this anthology because it was a physical book. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a dream it would be to have a poem in a book distributed by Simon and Schuster." So I submitted so many times to this publisher, to this contest. that by the end of the reading period, they had read so much of my work that they were like, wow, we really like her poetry. Um, they ended up actually choosing, they ended up publishing two of my poems, but a lot of the poems that I submitted ended up on the short list that they had to narrow down. And yeah, because I had submitted so many poems, probably I don't know. I can't remember exactly. I think it maybe was like 5 poems per submission. I probably submitted like 20 poems. They had read so much of my work by then that they reached out and my publisher was like, "Hey, do you have a manuscript?" And, I was like, "No, but, I can get started on one." And so, yeah, we signed a book deal and I had to quickly figure out what book I was writing.
Yeah.
But of course, it came together very quickly because just as many writers do, there's like certain themes and topics that you kind of like gravitate toward. And so it was pretty easy to find a a theme once I like really took a look at all of my work. But yeah,
I love
that's how that went.
and
Very
so
uncommon, but I will say that like my submission uh like how diligent I was in my submissions. That's not just for Central Avenue, but like that's actually worked for many other uh, lit mags and publications, and not just like flooding them with work. I mean, just diligence and like, I really want to be published by this specific lit mag or whatever publisher. And so I'm gonna like submit my work and you know, look into their like what type of work they like and they accept and they publish. And get a rejection and try again, and get a rejection and try again, and get a rejection with a note. And then, take that note and then try again. And then, like, eventually, like, you just kind of like, yeah, it's worked for me.
I love that. It's like building a relationship with an editor or a publisher through rejection, right? Because
Yeah.
they really come to understand the
Yeah.
body of your work. You recognize people's names if they submit a number of times so yeah.
Yeah.
Um, did you have a chapbook or a lot of poems published before that? Before your book?
Uh-huh. Published,
Like in literary journals and things like that? Or
oh,
were
you're asking before my book or before my publisher found before reached out to me?
either one. Either one.
No, before my publisher, that was the first submission ever. So I had two poems published with them, and then after that, and I was in this period of like really like a condensed period of writing a lot of poems because with my publisher, I ended up hmm, working out that I would get about 6 months to complete my manuscript. And so I had this story in my brain that I like had to tell. And so yeah, was just writing like crazy. And so I was like, you know what? I should probably be like submitting these poems while I can, like before, they're published in my book. And so I, have done a bit of submitting. And I'm not like the best at it. I'm certainly not um, a master submitter. I don't know if that's a term. I don't know.
That
Um,
may not even be a thing. I think we're all just
okay. What I mean is I'm very new to the process of like submitting my work in general, but I have submitted and I've had some really cool publications because of it. And really, like, bottom line, it's just like putting yourself out there and just like kind of being like diligent and a little bit shameless about it has like worked in my favor.
for sure. Yeah, you've got
Yeah.
to be bold and work out there. I actually want
Yeah.
to ask you a couple questions about submitting.
Yeah.
There was someone that wondered, how many different poems should a poet have out at the same time? Are you submitting the same 6 poems to a bunch of different journals? Do you have different packets for different journals? It sounds like you read the journal's vibe
I
from.
do, yeah. Yeah, that's totally my answer is, I don't have, like I have okay, I don't have, like, packets. I have some themes that I tend to, like, keep within a family, um, depending on what the vibe is of the publisher, the lit mag. I take my time and, like, getting to know the publisher, the literary magazine because I don't wanna just be wasting everybody's time and, like, submitting, willy-nilly. I like to kind of, see, like, what type of work they publish and if it, like, feels like the type of thing that I write or, like, that my voice would be, a good fit here, and then I kind of, I kinda just, like, play it all depending on, what I find, um, in the on the Lit Mag's website and what type of work they have previously published. Yeah. But like I said, I also have, like, these, like, kind of families of poems, like, I that kind of work better together. So I have, like, that kind of a packet where I'm like, okay, I have, like, 5 poems about my grandmother and about her death that, like, I've submitted that a couple different places, which haven't heard back and also have been rejected. So there's that kind of thing, but yeah, mostly I just am kind of like reading, like, just reading into what it is that they're looking for and kind of being selective in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those poets that are just starting out submitting their work,
Mhm.
do you have any suggestions for which specific journals might be really friendly for early career poets?
I don't have any specific um places to suggest, but something that I have noticed is that there's a lot of really great, like, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances on social media on Instagram that have started their own lit mags, and so kind of starting in a place that's like a little bit more chill would be, I would recommend doing that. Of course, another thing to consider is that, like, I, um, I like to, take a look at where like, the people who I look up to, my literary heroes, I like to look at where they're being published. This was actually some, advice that I got from a friend. And I was like, yeah, obviously that makes perfect sense. And so, yeah, kind of looking into that. But that can be kind of high hope sometimes. But yeah, I think like for people just starting out, seeing where your friends are publishing or submitting and honestly just kind of like doing a scroll through a database, like chill subs or um, submittable, like kind of going through and just seeing like where's open and what type of work they're looking for. Just kind of like, I don't know, feeling it out and exploring. I don't think there's really a like perfect submission strategy. I think you just have to like go for it. And yeah, like I said before, just like really starting doing it messy and just kind of like putting yourself out there and um yeah, not worrying too much about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you very quickly learn that like rejections are just no big deal. I know
Yeah.
the first one maybe can hurt a lot, but then you realize that if you send out 100 submissions, it's impossible for 100% acceptance rate. That's just silly, right?
Like,
And so
yeah.
uh, I think that there are so many journals that love to publish first time poets, that love to discover poets, that will publish a Pulitzer Prize winner alongside that. You really just have to take your chances. And yeah, Jill Subs is great for seeing what the acceptance rate is. Sometimes you like need a boost and are would love to just publish in a poem in a journal that has 100% acceptance rate to get something accepted
I
that
didn't know that
can.
existed.
There are certainly easier
Yeah.
than others, but yeah, you have to go for the pie in the sky ones,
Yeah.
or you'll never get into those. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and for me, like, I think, like, it really helped to just kind of see, like, what my peers were doing and kind of where everyone was like, that's how I came across the Central Avenue, you know,
yeah,
contest. Just a friend of mine was submitting, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, why not?" So,
yeah, I love reading the acknowledgments page in poetry collections
yeah.
and where all those poems were first published.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any advice for getting paid for your writing?
Um, yes. I would say, firstly, and, like, I'm sorry for this, but, um, I would suggest not really worrying about not trying to get paid for your writing, just because it is kind of it's a tough spot to be in. Um, when you start getting paid for anything, it's kind of like turns it into a job. So it really kind of depends on, what you're how deep you are into it. But you know, just, if you're just starting out and you're worried about like, "Oh, I wanna do this as a career," I would say just, like, do something else as a career for the moment and just, like, write and just, make sure that you love doing it. But in terms of actually, like, things that you can do to make money, I actually, jotted down a couple notes here. Okay, so I wrote a book. That will be money, hopefully. I sell prints on my website, um, which, for people who don't yet, something that I really suggest doing is looking into a drop shipping print company. That way you don't have to hold a ton of stock. You don't have to put money into, printing. It can be really expensive to print everything up front. And then, like, what if what if you sell one? So, um, that, that definitely is, a good little income. And then I also started, my poem postcard club. So it's a snail mail club and I just like print, um, a postcard every month, and it has a poem on it. And I have subscribers every single month, and I mail it out. And yeah, I make a lot of money doing that.
That's awesome. I love that. They're your
So those are
poems,
the ways that sorry.
and they're your poems on the postcards.
Yes, yeah, they're my poems. Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, and then the obvious is like submitting to contests, um, and yeah, getting paid to publish your work. But that's the dream.
Those are great ideas, and
Yeah,
they're right. At readings, you can bring your merch and, potentially, along with buying your book, people might be interested in your prints and things like that.
yeah, 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 totally.
Um, I had somebody had a question in the chat that I thought was really great. Now we know poems don't have to be autobiographical, right? And there's persona poems and things like that,
Yeah.
but much of your poetry is imagined versus based on real life experience?
Pretty much everything is real life experience for me. It's my poetry is very much narrative poetry. Not sure if I've written. I think, yeah, I can't think of a single poem that I've written that's been like kind of um imaginary. That for me, like my poetry really kind of tends to begin with like a seed of noticing something. And that's where I'm at in my life right now. That's like I'm just very much in motherhood and like I don't know, my relationships with the women in my life and with myself and my body and well, so I think like yeah, for me it's kind of like this story that I want to tell in a creative way rather than like a yeah, what was the word used? Like imagining or what was it?
Imaginary, I think I would.
Imagine. Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's another great question, and if
Mm.
you don't mind. Who are your biggest creative influences?
Biggest creative influences. Oh, like poetry or just like in okay. Um,
But also,
okay.
it's totally fair to say your mom also is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, all right. I mean, definitely like our queen, Mary Oliver. Joy Sullivan, amazing. Danusha Lamaris, Ada Limon, Ross Gay. Oh my gosh. If you haven't read all of Ross Gay's work, go do so immediately. Um, who else? Yeah, I think that's like the main like who occupy a lot of space in my brain on a daily basis.
love that.
Yeah.
Their influences in your work. Just going
Yeah.
back to the earlier questions. So yeah. Um, you have a great knack for sharing content in a fresh way on social media. Can you talk to us a little bit about building a platform? Especially, I see you have a really big presence on Instagram, for
Yeah.
example. You have
Yeah.
other platforms you like. You can talk about those too.
Yeah, mostly Instagram, honestly. I did a lot of before I really dove into like creative writing. I did a lot of like social media management and like kind of like website copy, like that kind of thing. And so I kind of learned the ropes of Instagram. So that's like what's comfortable for me. But I know that like a lot of people experience great success on TikTok. I just am not like a video maker. I'm great in Canva and in my notes app. So building a readership, um, it's 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 a hard question to answer because really I think um, I've heard a lot that, and I don't have like a specific source, but like just in like various workshops and things or talks with like agents and publishers that, what they tend to notice is that people kind of start their Instagrams a little bit too early in their writing practice. And what I mean by that is that, you really want to like have your voice and your work, I guess, like really singularly you. And you want to make sure that like you are I guess like there. I don't know what that's it's like so hard to describe what that actually means. That's so abstract. But like I think it just me like how I understand it is focusing on the work first and then building from there. So really making sure that you're at a good place in your writing and your poetry. And then when it comes to actually building the audience on Instagram, there's like, certain like tactics and things that you can do. But really making sure that you're at a place where like people are reading your writing and wanting to, share it and engage with it. That's like step one. Um, that's so like unhelpful, I know.
Yep.
um,
Sounds like you know, figuring out who you are as a writer so that you can
yeah,
a cohesive presentation of your identity, personality.
totally. Yeah, exactly. And then so there's that, right? The like boring, annoying answer that like everybody knows and doesn't want to hear. But then in terms of like actually growing your audience, like I think find making sure that you have a backlog of cohesive content for people when they read a poem of yours, if it like is shared to them or shows up on their explore page, something like that, they go to your profile and they see, oh, there's a ton of poems that look exactly like this, that I can go like binge. And that's how you get the people who follow along, because a lot of the time you'll see like one viral video, for example, like a viral reel, and you'll go to um, their profile and they have like, 2,000 followers because no, um, they don't have that like backlog of content. Like maybe they plan on making more of it, but they don't have the like trust in the viewer yet that you're going to get more of that content. People like to know what they're going to expect when they follow you. So in terms of like practical advice, go to Canva and just like create a template of like uh, what you're gonna, put into that template. Like, for example, I have a um, I can't remember the dimensions, but it's not an Instagram square anymore. It's the rectangle. And I have like a light gray background, and then I have Garamond, text, and like I have it like all set up. And I literally just when I go to do a new post, I just duplicate it every time. I just duplicate it and then paste my new poem into there, and so it's really really cohesive. Like even the spacing is cohesive. The uh what do you call it? Text size, everything is the same.
Yeah.
um
I think
yeah, I found great success in that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well, iconic things like that can be something as simple as font.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think, yeah, just people like to know what to expect. Like if they are going to like follow you, they want to know that exactly what they're going to get. And it's like boring advice, but like that really is what's worked for me. Also, another thing is finding a series that you can do to really get people invested. That's something that I noticed that I gained a lot of followers when I started and continued my monthly poem series. Yeah, people knew exactly what to expect from me every single first of the month, and those poems got shared like so widely that I every single month, that it just brought more and more engagement, more and more followers. And now I've done that series, the entire year is done, and I'm still sharing them, and each month they still bring in so much engagement. So yeah, finding a series is another good strategy.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Really work with the big picture. You create a strategy and follow that. What about for people who may not be very tech savvy? Do you have suggestions for developing a brand that's maybe on social media or maybe outside of social media for promoting their work?
Well, for on social media, it's kind of an unfortunate reality that like we just everyone is on social media. Everyone expects you to be on social media, especially if you are um, trying to publish a book, for example. And there are certainly ways around it. This is not the end all be all. But for me, I found that a lot more doors did open when, um, the higher the follower count, and better the engagement. So for social media, I would suggest just like doing it messy and looking up the tutorials and like learn Canva and like make the shitty video. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I can curse. Okay, okay. Yeah, like make the crappy video and post it and like get 5 likes and then like do it better next time and then just do it better next time. And yeah, just like slowly learn. Um, in terms of off of social media, um, I mean, I know that like Substack is technically social media, but I love Substack, and it doesn't feel like social media to me, not in the same way that, like, Instagram does. There's a bit more, like, breathing room on Substack, so if you're, like, social media adverse, then I would suggest starting there. And also just, like, find a writers group, in person or online. And yeah, being in community is something that's been so helpful for me. Like, I can't tell you how many, like, I messaged a writer friend of mine, like an SOS the other day, because I was like, I actually received a rejection from a lit mag, and the rejection came with some pretty brutal notes, to a lot of the poems that I submitted. It was actually kind of silly. It was a weird situation. But so one of the poems I is very important to my book. And I was like, hey, should I had to send my manuscript back to my editor the next day, and I had just received that submission. And so I messaged my writer friend who I met on Instagram, and I sent her the original and then the revised, and she was like, "No, I like the original." She was like, "The original is perfect. Don't change it at all." And yeah, like, without her input, I absolutely would have changed it and probably, like, butchered it a little bit just because of, like, the panic that I was like, they somebody didn't like this poem."
Yeah,
Yeah. So, like, being in community is something that I've think is really valuable as a writer because, yeah, it's easy to kinda get in your own head about your own writing. Yeah.
I can really relate to that. The number of times that I've workshopped a poem and changed it and then had the original version get accepted, like, more than and so you really
Yeah.
self, right? Because not everything's gonna resonate. That's one person's
Yeah,
I'm sorry that the
totally.
feedback was brutal, but
Oh, that's actually the only time that that's happened, and yeah, usually, if I receive feedback from a lit mag, it's very, like, chill and, like, just, like, a couple little suggestions, but yeah, it happens, it's people on the other end, so you gotta just brush it off.
sure. Now, having a platform and, community and, getting your work out there, what about if you have any advice? I know you don't write under a pseudonym, but what
Mhm.
that prefer, with the nature of their jobs, attaching their name to their poetry might be dangerous in some way, to their livelihood, or if there are some people who are just so introverted that they prefer to publish anonymously. Do you have any advice for being successful without a platform?
Yeah,
With
definitely. I actually, oh, sorry, the question was without a platform or with a pseudonym?
oh, maybe either one. However, you
Okay.
express that.
Okay. So first of all, I started my Instagram under I didn't I was faceless and pseudonym kind of. My Instagram was Words by Elise, and it was totally faceless, and I posted, I mean, probably I only changed it um to my name last year, I believe. I have a friend who has her entire Instagram and, branding and, now book, is entirely under her pseudonym. So yeah, you can just be whoever you wanna be, especially on the internet. In terms of you said, with publishing without a platform?
Yeah. Can you get a lot of followers of your work without getting a lot of social media followers?
Hmm. I mean, yeah, people do it. I am not the most experienced in that, but I see it all the time. I mean, I don't think Ross Gay has an Instagram, and he's Ross Gay. He's like a perfect human being, basically. Very, very well known. I think, like, yeah, in terms of doing it without um, a social media, probably just submitting and yeah, being in community with other writers, in person or online, and, yeah, I'm not, like, the most versed in that, but, like, I definitely see it done, so I think it's totally possible. It's probably more difficult, unfortunately. Yeah, you probably would be just totally honest, you probably would be better off just doing, like, you know, a pseudonym, faceless account just to kind of have, like, a pulse on, like, what's going on in the writing world. A lot of a lot of, great communities on Instagram, or in Substack, and so I think, like, there's definitely a lot of value in it, even if you're not, like, a brand on, on social media, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah. Every once in a while I look for a poet's personal website and they don't have one and they're
Yeah.
like are well known. And
Yeah.
there's a part of me that really admires that because there's definitely additions. Um, what about any suggestions for writers who might want to break out of their genre and say publish a philosophy book or a self-help book later? Do you have any advice on that? I know that you're publishing your debut poetry collection, but
Mhm.
do you have any interest in jumping out of the genre?
I mean, yeah, I definitely, because my work is so narrative, I think that, like, I definitely have thought about, like, some type of, like, memoir or something like that. Like, I think that, like, this person, whoever asked this question, like, if you're a poet, poetry, um, lends itself really well to other genres. Like, if you're a poet, like, you can use language in that in a, really intentional way. I think that writing a self-help book or a philosophy book would be really, really cool. I think, like, just finding, like, a fresh angle, um, and, like, I always find that, like, the best books that I read are more, especially in terms of, like, self-help, are more narrative than, like, a checklist of, like, "Here's how to make your life better." It's, like, kind of more of, like, a show me, don't tell me kind of thing, so, um, yeah, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think, like, if you're a poet already, you have, like, the bag of tools, um, and I think that it would be really cool. Like, one of my favorite, like, genres of book is, poets who write novels, like, Olivia Gatwood, and I have so many of them on my shelf, but obviously can't think of any more than that right now.
Ocean
But
Spray.
I think that it's one of the coolest things to, read other, uh, works by poets. It's just, like, a very special little genre there.
Yeah. And I don't know if this resonates, but I could totally see you writing a children's book that would like thrive my favorites. Maybe I read a lot of children's books, but I
Oh,
think
me too. I would love that, that would be super fun, yeah. My friend, Jessica, she writes a lot of, uh I've never actually, please forgive me, everybody, for butchering her last name, Jessica Ehrlich?
I'm not sure if it's ick or ick, but I'm sure
Okay, yeah.
it's the one.
She is a beautiful poet, and she writes the most, like, adorable, like, tender children's books that just, like, make me weep. So yeah, it translates for sure.
Um, w what do you think makes a poem a poem?
I think intentional language, um, and a an interest in exploring, like, feeling, um, at least for me. Um, I think, like, probably just probably the, like, just, using language and form intentionally kind of thing, but, like, for me, when I'm when I am reading a poem or wanting to read a poem or write a poem, I'm wanting to experience something. And so I think that that's a lot of what poetry means to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Um, there's somebody wrote in the chat, they were wondering about the revision process. How do you keep up your momentum? I know you just turned in your final revisions, your final line edits. What was the revision process like for you?
Honestly, it was really fun. I'm an editor at heart though, and I am a total, like, grammar nerd, so it was really fun to see, um, the process and, like, the behind the scenes of, like, how a book is made. But yeah, it can be really draining. It can be a lot, and that first day when I came to revisions after my editor went over my entire manuscript, I was very like, oh my god, what is this? Did I even like, is this book even any good? Like, is this just all terrible? And so not because of her notes. Her notes were so wonderful and so complimentary. But just, reading your own work a zillion and a half times is just like when you hear a word over and over again, you're like, what does this even mean anymore? So yeah, taking breaks and honestly for me, I think like letting myself be in different phases. So I'm not writing a ton right now. Like I'm kind of letting um if inspiration hits, I will write something, but I'm not really like forcing anything because I'm kind of in a different mode. I'm in editing mode right now. And so when I'm not editing, I really try and give myself some space and like a break to just kind of like live my life and not like, overdo it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the advice of like putting your work down for a couple of weeks and looking at it with fresh eyes definitely is just as valid when you're
Totally.
as late. And I love the way it's like if you say the word fork over and over again,
It
because
means nothing. I know. Excuse me. I have to plug my phone in. There we go.
I just had to do the same. Thank you
Yes.
for the new children's book author idea to someone in the chat. Oliver Jeffers will
Oh, cute.
definitely have to check that out.
I
So I
love that.
have one more question, and that's um, is there a thing that you wish younger you would know about writing that you know now? What if you could go back and talk to fourth grade Elise, who was just writing poetry for the first time, or maybe 20-year-old Elise who wasn't
Mhm.
doing it full time yet or seriously yet? Do you have any suggestions for what you might say?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's very simple, but it's not that serious and it's not that hard. Just like go for it. I think that I had a tendency to really build up this like big scary writer identity in my mind. Like I wanted it to be a certain way, like what I described earlier, that like beautiful scene of me like sitting down with like a typewriter or something. And it's just like not that. It's just, you know, like I said before, just like doing it messy and like pretty ugly. Um, and yeah, it's just like not that serious and just freaking do it. Just start, start somewhere.
Do you have Are you thinking about your next collection yet? I know I said that was the last question, but this is the last question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to start. I'm trying to start. I have a lot, I mean, in the editing process of The Size of Your Joy, I have, some poems that I really love that just like didn't make the cut for, various reasons. And so I have a little uh Word document titled New Manuscript. So, I'm starting it, but like I think that I'm also I tend to be a kind of a perfectionist mindset and like in those kinds of ways where I'm like, okay, accomplishment, check, on to the next thing. So I'm really challenging myself to just kind of like let myself chill out and enjoy it and like not worry too much about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And yeah, just enjoy where I'm at. And this is like a dream come true, publishing a book. And so I'm like, enjoy it. Gosh dang it. you know,
Remember, it's not that serious,
it's
right?
not that
You and
serious. Yes.
yeah. Well, Elise, thank you so much. This has been such a great talk. I hope this has been helpful for those of you who have joined us. Thank you so much for joining us here at Sub Club. I
Thank you
can't
for having me. This
wait
is great.
to the size of your joy and whatever else you put out. So
Thank you so much. This was great.
thanks. Bye, everyone.